You are listening to the ReRACEables Podcast.
Give you a nice little detour.
Good evening and welcome back to the ReRACEables Podcast. Here we are for the penultimate episode of season 37. It's episode 11. I'm your host, Tom. Excited to be joined here tonight by Nicole. Nicole, welcome in.
Thank you.
Penultimate episode. Second to last. 2 nights back to back, and we're going to have a winner. How do you feel about the penultimate? Where are you at this stage of the race this season?
Well, it left off with quite a cliffhanger. That's the last taste in my mouth.
It is the season of surprises. So at this point, I am not surprised to see this cliffhanger. I'm not surprised to see pretty much going to be a photo finish. I'm not surprised to see a dramatic ending to night 1 of the 2-night finale with Anna and Jonathan breaking their tile in their mosaic. We don't know what's going to happen. You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
It was just perfect. It was perfect that he did it.
Yes.
Because he has been impossible this entire leg. Anna, I don't know how you manage to not just drive the car off a cliff.
Shout out to Anna. Shout out Anna. She is my MVP of the whole season. The fact that they're at this point is totally on her back and her patience. He's been brutal. He has been brutal, and I agree with you, Nicole. I don't want to see them fail. I'm not always happy to see that, but I'm just happy that it was him. I'm with you. Because if she would have dropped it and broke it,
Oh, God.
oh my God, it would have been borderline like Saved by the Bell level unwatchable television.
Hey. Don't just say by the bell like that.
I mean, it's unwatchable. And when he gets into that negative, it's just so brutal.
It's not entertaining. It's just painful. And I don't want to watch any more of that. I would rather watch Josiah praise his wife more. That's what I'd personally prefer.
Right. I would rather, as much as I've had enough of Holden, and I think we figured this out. I don't really know our directions, Han. Just we gotta trust, okay? As much as I've had enough of him, I've had enough of Jonathan. You're right. It's not entertaining.
And this is just so not the final 4 we were thinking we would have from the beginning. Personally, it's so not the final 4 I thought they would have. Yeah.
Well, yes, you had Han and Holden number 14, Carson and Jack 12.
I wish we were watching Scott and Lori or Nick and Mike.
Brett and Mark,
for sure. So, I don't know. I think because of all the twists, it's been more unpredictable. And our top 4, like you always say, if we ran this race 100 times, how many times would we end up with this top 4? I would say not many.
Well, I think our rankings would overall reflect that. But I do think after 11 episodes, I agree with you. I don't think this is the top 4 teams. Shout out Brett and Mark. But I do think that Carson and Jack belong there. I do think that Josiah and Alyssa belong there. And we all had them.
Yes.
They were up there, right?
Well, listen, Josiah, yes. But I was not expecting Carson and Jack to be there. But I do feel that they belong there now. They deserve to be there. where I don't feel Han and Holden deserve to be there.
But why not?
Because they should have been eliminated on the non-elimination leg.
So that's still sticking with you?
Yes, it is.
I agree. I get it. It's part of this season's theme of surprises, and that inevitably the surprise of the non-elimination was going to benefit one team, but it has clearly benefited Han and Holden more than anyone. I also think that like the equalizers in the last few legs have really helped them out too. Because I don't think they're the strongest team by any means, but I think there's just some circumstances that have really kind of helped them. And I would say this too, like it's not surprising that they've never won first place.
No, because they don't deserve to.
As far as who should be the top four, I had Jonathan and Anna third preseason. I never saw the brutal communication style and brutalness of that team. But I think we talked about it last week on the pod. They're a father-daughter team, except the father is her partner and he's young and fit, and Anna's the real star of that team.
Mm-hmm.
And she has been right up until literally in the mosaic puzzle challenge, where she is laying the caulking that's going to, glue the tiles on better than Josiah's doing it. And it's like she's just had these unique skills throughout the entire race that I think they're deserving of a top four. Alyssa and Josiah, we already talked about. We all had them highly rated. Carson and Jack, I had them fifth. They're an all-male team. Obviously should have had them higher. Missed that, but did have them top five. Did have them as a sleeper. We definitely were thrown off the scent with them because of their gamer background. We pictured them as just like sheltered in their room computers versus games they're more into are a little bit more social. Maybe not our social scene, but like Dungeons and Dragons, they are interacting with people and they do play games and there is a competitiveness to it. I think we misread them on that.
Mm-hmm.
Han and Holden, they're the young brother and sister team that I had them seventh. I didn't think they would get this far. Overall, I think I got 2 out of the 4 and it seems right. And I feel like we are missing our biased top team, Nick and Mike overall, but also for me, Mark and Brett, and we talked about that last week. So we start the episode flying from Strasbourg, France to Porto, Portugal, and we have the newest twist, the valet roulette, where it's a luck of the draw with 5 sets of keys for the 4 teams. For the self-driving, 2 of the cars have automatic and 3 of the car keys are for manual. Your thoughts on this twist?
I like the idea of the twist. I think with these contestants in particular at this point in the race, it didn't really matter.
Right.
The one team it would have mattered for was Carson and Jack, and they ended up getting automatic.
Mm-hmm.
So it really was irrelevant.
Yes. I like the idea of them trying to lean into the self-driving. It's becoming more of an amplified thing on the race. Driving a stick shift car has sunk teams before. They showed the little montage of Kishori and Karishma struggling, Lewis and Michelle struggling. But yeah, this was a nothing burger for all these teams, the way it worked out. It also, you know what it felt like? And this is why it fell flat for me. This valet roulette felt like the Express Pass.
How so?
Well, when we see them with the Express Pass, they just kind of use it, and there's no glitz to it. They just keep going. We think it's going to be this big deal, maybe because like the fast forward is clouding over the Express Pass because it's more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the valet roulette, we were going to see somebody struggle. We thought we were going to see a team stall and struggle a little bit, and there was just nothing.
Yeah.
And so the valet roulette, new twist, and the teams talked about it a little bit as the valets were pulling up the 4 cars, and then there was literally not another conversation about it.
Right.
It had no impact. And maybe it's just the wrong season, or maybe it's kind of like the Express Pass and just kind of anticlimactic.
I also think it should have been more of like a clear reveal to the contestants what they got, because they're just like looking in the window. Is it? No, it's automatic. Okay.
Yeah. Like a big red and yellow sign that says automatic.
Right. Something like that.
Yeah, that would be visuals. We've been saying it all season long. We need a visual. They missed it on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So though the valet roulette was pretty anticlimactic, I think the bigger takeaway of the self-driving isn't the automatic or the manual car they're driving. It's the fact that they're still on the race. They are tasked with navigating through Portugal using paper maps and literally a compass. That's it. Like, I don't know how you make that exciting television other than you show them in the back seat with the giant map on them and a compass in their hand, and they're trying to communicate with the pen and they're following whatever the major highways of it are. Maybe there's something there with a twist there that they get to use a GPS at some point, something like that.
Do you think that it's now a rule that they're not allowed to pick up a local to direct them or to follow a local? Like, why don't we see that anymore? We saw that in earlier seasons.
Yeah. It's a great strategy.
It is, but we never see it anymore. And you had mentioned it while we were watching at one point.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe it's not allowed.
Yeah, it would make sense that that's why we're not seeing it if it's not allowed. But if it's not allowed, did we just miss that, or are they not telling us?
But I liked that. I liked when they would pick up locals.
Yeah.
Because it just makes it exciting. Like, well, who's this person?
Yep.
Who's this new character to the mix? And, well, what were they doing before they ran into this television show from America? And it was just kind of cool. But they don't do it anymore.
Leave a comment if you know if there's a rule on that or not. But I agree with you, Nicole. That it is a viable strategy, and I'm shocked to see them not using it at all. We live in a world where your GPS navigation in your car, on your phone, all day, every day, everywhere you go. And to be going essentially back in time on the race and using paper maps and a compass, I don't know that we understand just how difficult the navigation is.
I know it's difficult because I've missed turns many a time with GPS running, with the visual full on my screen in my car, audibly telling me, turn here, and I still miss it. So how are they doing this? I don't know.
Plus, oh, by the way, a camera guy in the back seat, a camera guy in the front seat, and $1 million at stake.
Yeah. And keep in mind, the teams that we have left here are all people who have never lived in a time before GPS.
Yeah, and if they have, they were kids. And
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not like, Scott and Lori may have a better chance, or even Mark and Larry. You know?
Shout out Mark and Larry.
Shout out Mark and Larry. I mean, they probably we never got to see their self-driving abilities because they got out so early.
Yes.
But that was one of the reasons I ranked them so high.
It would be interesting to see each team operate on the self-drive legs.
Even Pops.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I don't know how you kind of bring that to life more as a television show, that there's this navigation using maps and compasses in the backseat of a car. I don't know how you do that, but to me, that seems like the bigger roulette in this stage, in this leg, that who can navigate the best on that map is going to get them to the next challenge and is going to have the biggest advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So on this leg, we had no detour, we had a roadblock, and we had a couple route info challenges. We had The first one was the paddling across the river and rolling the wine barrels up the hill, paddling back. We had the roadblock, which was the archery in medieval times, hitting the 3 targets with 7 tries. And we had the root info 80-piece mosaic puzzle that they had to put together and then actually tile onto the wall. Which challenge stands out most to you?
The archery for me. I enjoyed seeing the nerds nerd out.
Carson and Jack just loving it.
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissorings to see who would go first.
Again, we've talked about this before of like seeing people do their thing that
Yes.
they're good at or that they're passionate about. It's more entertaining to watch someone do something that they really love and are good at than it is to see somebody just fail 100 times.
So you're talking specifically about Carson
Yeah,
and his nerdiness and
getting knighted,
the giddiness that he felt.
declaring that this was the best day of his life.
Shout out Carson. I mean, shout out to getting knighted.
A wacky thing to have be your best day, but
What else did you love about it? The challenge.
I liked that there was the surprise that the targets are moving.
Mm-hmm.
They practice with them stagnant, and then as soon as they get ready to have their first trial, all of a sudden they're jumping.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a fun little twist. Again, another little twist.
And I love that the 3 targets were different sizes.
Yes.
Just a very small strategy piece to that challenge, but that made it that much more challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And Carson pointed it out that he had to hit the first one in the middle. That was the smallest. That was his strategy. And again, it's not much, but it's a little strategy nugget that we get to just help put together the bigger pieces that got them to the final 3 now.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense.
Also, an interesting little nugget that in this challenge, multiple teams were told on their cards that it had to be one of the teammates.
Yeah, it had to be, yes, it had to be Alyssa, it had to be Holden, and it had to be Jonathan, because the other partner had used all 6 of their roadblocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting.
And I don't know that the other teammate in any of those teams would have done any better. Like, I don't think it really mattered for this one.
I agree. But it was great. I agree with you that Carson got to do it, and his excitement was exciting. And it made you want to go and do something like that. It made you like imagine having the armor on and being handed a bow and arrow and these actors sword fighting around you in armor, and the whole thing was just, it was great.
And it is really hard. I don't know if have you ever done archery?
Maybe like Nerf archery, like sets.
See, I actually have done archery. I don't know if you know this about me.
No, breaking news here on the ReRACEables podcast.
Back in high school gym class, we had a unit on archery.
Wow.
And
very privileged.
Yeah. And our targets were just standing still, and it was very hard. It was very hard.
Wow.
So I think it looks like it's not that hard, but it really is.
So do you think if we were on the race, this would have been you advocating to do this?
I might. Or I might say you should do this because I know I'm not good at it already.
Oh. So one thing, okay, I want to go back to Carson. This was like the best day of his life. It was a dream roadblock, he said. Is there a dream roadblock that you would find yourself in?
Hugging puppies. Hug as many puppies as you can. How about you?
Hug as many puppies as you can. You're sick.
It's my dream.
I think for me, maybe a dream roadblock would be either something like in a certain setting, like a football stadium on the field at the 50-yard line, that kind of
With Tom Brady.
with Tom Brady. Exactly. Like thank you. Thank you for the assist there. Like if we
And
were
Jeff Probst.
and Jeff Probst. Shout out Tom Brady and Jeff. If we got to Foxborough and we're at the 50-yard line and I had to have a catch with Tom Brady and Jeff Probst was there cheering us on.
No, Jeff Probst hikes it to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Gives me a one-way ticket to season 51 of Survivor.
Yeah.
And then I have a catch with Tom Brady. That would be my dream roadblock for sure. But that aside,
I'm a much simpler person. Just give me some puppies.
I think other than that, like the skydiving one would be a dream roadblock. I think that would be really cool. Or I'm thinking of when Kim and Penn, their season, there was a bungee jump. I just think I would never do bungee jumping in any other circumstance, but it would be awesome. And especially if you're at the highest bridge in South America or whatever, that kind of thing. That would be really cool. Or even something like what they did in Dubai for the fast forward, like that scuba diving in that underwater city. Like that really stands out. That would be like so freaking cool to do that. But yeah, Jeff Probst, Tom Brady catch on the 50-yard line. Yeah, that would be my dream roadblock.
And if Josh were here, I think I know his.
Go ahead.
It would be like tasting and matching Tillamook flavors to the correct names.
Yes. Right, like that cheese challenge.
Yeah.
Ice cream flavors from Tillamook. Yep. That's pretty much it. Yep. Oh, man. So as much as we love that challenge, the one challenge that from this episode that I think I loved the best was the mosaic puzzle. I thought it was super creative. I thought it was just the right amount of difficulty, being there was that many pieces, that it was only the two colors. And I just loved that they had to put the puzzle together and it was made of tiles. And there were people that started watching them. Did you see that? There were like spectators just walking by and then like kind of on the edges watching them. So you felt a little bit of the pressure there. And then the fact that once they put the puzzle together, they had to then literally tile it on the wall. Love that, combined with then they got the clue, which was the picture, and then they had to use the picture of the puzzle they just put together to figure out they had to cross the walking bridge to the other side of the river and find Phil. I just love that whole component of it and really just awesome planning and challenge creation there. And now the fact that we have this cliffhanger because they broke one. Is this a time penalty? Is this you have to redo the whole puzzle again? What's going to happen? Love it. Love it. Love it.
I don't think it will be a time penalty because they still have to finish the puzzle, right?
Yes.
So I feel like it wouldn't make sense for it to be a time penalty. But I also don't think they're just going to hand them a new tile.
Correct.
So maybe they have to piece together the broken pieces and
that would be cool too.
Glue that on. Or would that even be too simple if it just broke in 3 pieces?
Well, from what we could tell.
Or, like you said, maybe they have to start all over and do the puzzle all over.
But it's tough because they already have 25 pieces
up there
on the wall.
I don't know. I'm sure that they planned for this and it's probably in the rule book.
It better be.
We don't know what that rule book says.
Yeah. That's an amazing cliffhanger. Shout out to the editors for putting that as the cliffhanger there at the end of night one here. I mean, just great, compelling reality TV competition drama. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So the episode ends. We have Carson and Jack, first place. They're going to the final 3. Shout out to them.
Class.
In business class, right?
They couldn't give him first class? Come on, CBS.
I mean, yeah.
To me, that was like,
It
okay.
was a little bit of a backhanded compliment. Yeah.
Come on.
Locking them in. Han and Holden, second place. Locking in Nicole.
Ridiculous.
Your number
Ridiculous.
14 team is in the final three.
Team Asian swag.
Yeah.
They're relentless.
We should have seen this back in the preseason rankings podcast. The two teams that we know are in the finals are the two teams who had preseason photo shoots that they posted.
We should have known.
We should have known. Ugh.
Now we know to look for a preseason photo shoot.
I did make a note of it. I just want to give myself at least that much. I even drew little pictures. Those two teams are in. Alyssa and Josiah versus Jonathan and Anna. Who do you got? Who do you think gets the final spot?
I hope it's Alyssa and Josiah. I really do. And I think they will pull through. I think there will be some penalty for breaking the tile because it would only be right. And that will be the nail in the coffin.
I think you're right. I have to agree with that. I think it's going to be like a 10-minute penalty, and then they'll be given the next tile, and that's going to be the difference because they're so close. They're right there, and it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal, but
It's crazy that they caught up like they did.
Right.
Despite the negative attitude of Jonathan.
Again, shout out Anna. Yeah. MVP of the season, as far as I'm concerned. Since there is no last place team at the end of this episode, the power rankings remain the same. So we're going to go right to crossing the finish line. So let's cross the finish line for the penultimate leg of the Amazing Race 37.
I'm crossing the finish line with my prediction for the winner, Carson and Jack. I think they deserve it more than anyone. Even though I'm really rooting for Alyssa and Josiah because they're just my personal favorite team, I think that Carson and Jack are going to take it home. What about you?
I'll cross the finish line with my prediction as well. I think as much success as Carson and Jack have had, and they ultimately have proven at this point, through the penultimate episode, to be the strongest team this season, Alyssa and Josiah will get through, like we said, and I think they're going to win. Number one, I'm rooting for them, and I want them to win. I don't want Han and Holden to win.
No.
I wouldn't mind if Carson and Jack won. I wish Anna could win.
By herself.
By herself, or get at least 750,000. So I'm going with my heart here. You know, at the end of the day, like we are watching a television show and a competition, and you have somebody that you're rooting for. And so with once my number one team went out in Brett and Mark, I was also rooting for them the most. I think I like them the most. I like Alyssa and Josiah. I like that they're in love that much.
Me too.
They're a nice story. They've been working so hard. They've been right in the top parts of every single episode. I think they just need to put it together and not
panic.
Not panic, but it's going to be hard for them. But I think I think once they get to the United States also, it's going to be a little bit easier, I think, for every team. And then I think it comes down to some random cumulative challenge. I'm rooting for them, so I'm going to go with Alyssa and Josiah. Carson and Jack second, Han and Holden third. That's my prediction for the winner.
Me too.
Well, there you have it. We're on the same page. We're going down with the Alyssa and Josiah ship. But that will do it for this edition of the ReRACEables Podcast. We will be back for the finale of the Amazing Race Season 37. We're going to have one winner. We're going to have 3 teams cross the finish line officially to end what I think is an awesome season of the Amazing Race.
It's been great.
Lots of surprises. Maybe we'll get another surprise here in the final leg. Stay tuned for that. But also, check out at tribalcouncilblog.com or at Tribal Council Blog on Instagram, my pursuit to get cast on Survivor, as well as on my website, Survivor 48 content, and my blogs throughout the season. It's been a great season. So check out all the blogs at tribalcouncilblog.com. All my fires to try to get cast on Survivor at Tribal Council Blog on Instagram. If you want to catch up on all of our episodes of the ReRACEables podcast from season 37, check us out on YouTube. Just search up Tribal Council Blog. You'll find us there. And we'll be back tomorrow night for the finale of the Amazing Race 37 right here on the ReRACEables podcast. We'll see you next time.